It's fall time going into winter, and we want to give you guys an updated root cellar tour. So let's get started. Hey you guys, welcome back to Heartway Farms. We're so glad you're here with us today. It has been really busy. What have we been up to?
We've been finishing up our garden, just battening down the hatches for winter.
Yeah, and we just got done with pretty much 2 solid weeks of chicken processing.
Yeah.
Our house smelled like chicken 24/7, which we are so thankful. But by the end, I think anyone who's done that can relate that you're a little tired of chicken by the end of smelling it for 2 weeks straight. So anyway, it's chicken cooking is a wonderful smell, but not when it's constant.
Not for 2 weeks straight.
Anyway, today we wanted to hop on here just real quick and do a real quick tour of the root cellar, which is where we are right now. If you're new here to the channel, we live in a old farmhouse that's over 100 years old, and one of the cool features that I loved so much about our house was the root cellar. I think you loved it just as much as I did.
Maybe a little more than you did.
Maybe more. Yeah, Julianne is really into this sort of stuff and preservation and all of that. And she's down here with me because she plays a huge part in this. We all work together as a team, but she carries a lot of the load of the garden for our household, as well as canning and processing, all of that stuff. So we do a lot of teamwork depending on what needs to happen, but she carries a lot of that weight. So Josh and the kids renovated this root cellar that we are in right now. When we first moved in, there were old shelves that definitely were not safe or were not
They're falling apart.
Yeah, they were falling apart, and we needed to tear all that out. And the neighbor across the street had a bunch of pallet board,
just old pallet board,
yeah,
wood.
You know, sitting out there not being used for anything. And she's like, "Hey, if you guys can use that, then take it." And so it was such a blessing because we had to buy some wood to make a little ledge, a little lip right here, but otherwise we were able to use her free wood to build out our root cellar. So it's wonderful, it's a blessing, and it's amazing. It seemed like when we renovated it, it seemed like we would never fill the space, but
we filled it.
We filled it.
We managed.
We managed. And about a month ago, it was looking kind of empty in here.
Yeah.
Maybe 2 months, because I guess we're mid-November almost. So about 2 months ago, it looked pretty empty in here. And I almost wanted to do a tour then, because then you guys would see how much work has gone into down here just in the last couple months, because that's when the garden comes in, that's when the chickens come in, and we'll get to what is still coming in, but we haven't even processed our steer, which we're gonna can that up. And I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, Julianne, where are we gonna put it? You know, we might have to make room on the shelf that you guys might not be able to see, but this one is just kind of storage for
jars.
Better
just move this over there or something like that.
Yeah, that would be a good idea. If we move this over, because we have some jar storage up high, which is kind of, we could move that maybe around. But anyway, so we're just gonna show you what we have down here. We don't keep any of our dry storage, like our flour, our rice.
Anything that's moisture sensitive is not in here.
Spices, other than your hanging spices are down here.
Drying.
Drying spices, but all of that is in a different location because we leave this room moist and completely dark.
Yeah.
And everything is stored properly, you know, how it should be stored for long-term storage. So anyway, let's work our way through. You want to take this side and I'll take this side, and we can show you guys what we have down in the root cellar right now.
So first here we have all of our jams and jellies and relishes and preserves. We have some American plum chutney, which we have some wild American plum trees that grow on a property next to us, so we harvested that. I didn't make any more of that this year because I had plenty left over from last year. I have apple butter, and we actually have an apple butter recipe. You can go check that out.
I gotta say this though. This is so good. If you guys haven't tried apple butter, and you haven't had to make this year.
I made 1 batch this year.
Oh, you did make one batch. I thought you were still eating off of last year's stuff.
I just finished last year's.
You just finished last year's and you've moved on to this year. But with how quick Julianne goes through this, she loves this on homemade bread or whatever. And the smell of the apple butter going in your house. Go check out that video. I'll try to remember to link it here or put it in the description. You're gonna want to see. I think it's how we put up a bunch of apples.
Yeah, like
and apple
apples
butter
5 ways or something like that.
Yeah, because moving on from there, we'll come back to this. But you also have a lot of applesauce from last year too.
I didn't make any of that this year.
So in our root cellar, we have a combination of different things. We have some home canned food, but we also have store-bought. So we do both of applesauce. We do our canned from homemade applesauce, but we also have some from Aldi that we keep down in the stockpile. All right.
And then we have our homemade zucchini relish, which is delicious, and it's the only relish we use.
Yep.
And I think we made a small batch of that this year. We have a lot left over from last year on that because I made a ton. We have mango jam. A couple years ago at this point, we got some mangoes on sale.
Yeah.
And we just made a bunch of jam. And typically we don't
so
do that,
good.
but it's really good. I like how it
It's
turned out.
really good.
And we have quite a bit of that left over. And then we have our strawberry lemonade jam, our wild blackberry jelly, and some blueberry jelly made from our Michigan blueberries. And then here we have our applesauce. We already talked about that.
Yep.
We have apples in juice, and these can just be used in typical baking stuff.
Yep.
And then we have blueberry compote, and I've got a bunch of blueberries, just blueberries in water here, and then I have some strawberries in water. And then up here we have a lot of medicinal herbs that I've collected over a while. I haven't done much of that this year, but I have some red clover flower, and dandelion roots, creeping Charlie, honey, ginger, and garlic ferment, chamomile tincture, an oregano tincture, bay leaves, spruce tincture, and then like some infused oils. And then just various different vitamins and supplements and other loose leaf herbs that we use, whether medicinal or for cooking.
Right. Storage is a hot commodity here, and so our dry goods storage is really tight on space. So we keep all of our sealed vitamins and stuff in here and up out of the way, so it's just out of the way. And then the top shelf all the way around, we don't even need to cover that, is where we keep our glass jars, whether our pints or quarts, half gallons, all of them are up top. And it's just a nice, and we have the lip on there, so nothing's gonna come tumbling down. The boards that we used that were part of those pallets, super hardy. They're not going anywhere, so super thrilled about that. Okay, let me move on over here.
And then up here we have more jars, like storage jars, and then we have our canned sweet corn,
So
which is
good.
delicious. And then we have our homemade cranberry sauce.
So Julianne cans up our cranberry sauce this time of year because cranberries are available and usually on sale. So right now it's early November, so we stock it up for the whole winter to have that. You cannot beat homemade cranberry sauce. We have a recipe on that. Marie did a recipe video on how to make homemade cranberry sauce last year, and it is our favorite. It is so good. So we can that up and keep it on the shelf to kind of have like Thanksgiving all winter long. It's so good.
We have our carrots. It's just sliced up carrots. And then last year I canned up some chili, and we have some of that left over just for quick, easy meals. And then some of our homegrown pickles. Okay, here we have our home canned tomato sauce.
We don't differentiate we don't can up separate pasta sauce, separate pizza sauce, whatever else.
Just plain tomatoes.
Tomato
not
paste, we
spice.
don't do that. We just do our tomatoes all the same into a sauce, and then we can make whatever we want whenever we want. We can use this for veggie soup or for chili or for pasta sauce, pizza sauce. All of it comes from this. So we have almost this whole shelf, besides some salsa and cowboy candy, we have tomato sauce. So we have plenty to get us through the whole year. We had a great harvest for tomatoes this year, and they were so good. So that's gonna be really good. So we have lots of tomato sauce. It goes back to the corner here.
Yep.
Look how beautiful that is. Look at that cowboy candy. And you know what we've decided we like cowboy candy to be used for? We did it in these large jars because we use it as like an Asian sauce,
sweet and sour
a
sauce.
sweet and sour sauce, but it's really nice and
It's
spicy.
sweet, sour, and spicy.
Yeah, which we like. And so when we, like if you have chicken that you can cook up and use this as a sauce with rice and veggies, it's like a delicious sweet and sour sauce. So cowboy candy, so good. So we have plenty of that because you only need a little bit of that really to go a long way. Plus our homemade salsa, which is really good. I don't think we've shared that before. Maybe we'll have to do that sometime. But we love canning up our homemade pureed salsa for the winter. Okay.
Down here we have store-bought applesauce and our nuts. So we just have peanuts, cashews, and they're all in airtight plastic containers, so we don't have any issues with vermin. or pests. And then I also have some other ones in a Tupperware back here that are in sealed bags.
We haven't had issues with with moisture down in here. You know, we kind of tested it out, but yeah, okay.
And then here we have all
just
of our
a big variety of
pasta and noodles and spaghettis, and they're all just in sealed mason jars with oxygen absorbers. And we've had zero issue with molding or anything. And here we have our pickled jalapenos, and then some more cowboy candy, and then just some plain pressure canned jalapenos. Then we have beef broth. We're gonna have a bunch more beef broth when we process our steer. And then we have a little bit of lamb broth. We don't usually can up a bunch of that. And then we have a couple jars of just plain white potatoes, and then a few of just plain sweet potatoes. We have more zucchini relish. This is blueberry pie filling, homemade blueberry pie filling. And then here we just have assorted baking items and oils, like just small oils. And then all of this here is our chicken broth. Lots of chicken broth.
We have so much chicken broth, and it was funny because we still had plenty left from last year.
Yeah.
But you know, you can't not make it again.
Made
So we made a whole bunch more. So this is all chicken broth.
But look at
then we
it,
go
so
to
pretty.
canned pork, canned beef, and canned chicken, and canned lamb.
Yes.
And more chicken down here, and more broth down here, more broth down there. Well, actually, that's not.
That's juice.
That's apple juice. Sorry, it looks like chicken broth. But then we start going into some of our store-bought, and so that's what I'm going to talk about now. If you guys haven't seen our most recent Aldi stock-up video, make sure you go check that out. We'll link that right here. And we walk that balance. We love growing our own food. We love harvesting our own animals and knowing where our food has come from. But we are totally fine with store-bought food too, especially if we know that it's good quality and where it came from. So we, especially in the winter, we like to stock up on healthy canned fruit. Fruit that is canned in its own juices, because we don't have time to do everything, and so we buy that store-bought, right? So starting over there, we've got some canned pumpkin to supplement your garden fresh.
Yeah, most of our pumpkins I just puree down and I freeze most of it because I can't can that. So it's nice to just have a canned option available.
Okay.
And then we have our peach slices in their own juice. We have some home canned pumpkin. That's from last year or 2 years ago. Some apple juice and apple cider, and then just a various different kinds of more store-bought fruits. So pineapple chunks in their own juice, peach slices, and pear halves, mixes. It's just canned fruit.
Yeah.
And then we have some pomegranate juice and cranberry juice.
We talk about in the Aldi stock up why we keep some juices on hand. It's mostly like for if kids get sick or dehydrated, it's just a natural way to boost their energy and nutrition in their body. And then down low, which you guys can't see, we have more like more oils and vinegars, liquid aminos,
maple syrup.
Big things of maple syrup. We love my dad's maple syrup. We keep that on stock, but we also keep the big jugs. I get so many questions about this, you guys, but we get these big jugs from our local Rural King, and this is $20 for this much syrup at Rural King. It's a great price. It's pure maple syrup, not table syrup, and we bake with this
all the time.
So much, and we use this so much. We love breakfast for dinner and different things, so it's a lot of stuff. So, and then we already covered the chicken and stuff down here. We are really gonna have to finagle some things here once we have a whole steer. I know we're trying to we're gonna try to can up quite a bit. Marie, I don't wanna get it down, but do you wanna look at it? We've got like our homemade vanilla, and we have some vodka up there that we use for tinctures and for making our homemade vanilla. We also have Julianne made hardtack, and it's so beautiful. I love looking at it, but it's there just in case of emergency.
Yeah, and this one's actually a few years old.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of cool.
Still perfectly fine.
So I don't know if you guys have ever seen how to make hardtack.
Don't open it.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to open it until we're gonna eat it because it's still good.
It's still good, and it looks so pretty. Anyway.
And down here, tucked under our shelves, we have a bunch of 5-gallon buckets. This one is full of a bunch of raw honey, and this one is just full of a bunch of beans and lentils. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 buckets of either honey or beans and lentils down here. Here we have eggs preserved in lime, and these will be good for up to a year down here. And then here we have just my soap making equipment. I keep all my extra oils and dishes and other necessities for soap making down here and out of the way.
Okay, so our root cellar is long and narrow, so we had to switch spots. Marie's always behind the camera, almost always, so she's helping us today. And today, before we move on to store-bought stuff, you can see what we have going on down here. So we are able to turn off, and this is fun. Josh put this in, and I'll just mess up the camera for a second, but we can make it pitch black in here and have nice LED lights in here if we want to, but we can keep it nice and dark in here so that the potatoes, you guys can't see all of these, and I'm not going to get them all out, but how many crates of potatoes do we have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have
6.
Lots of crates of potatoes, crates of onions. We have our butternut squash. You already processed a bunch of pumpkins.
It's just leftover.
And we have what's left pumpkins. The zucchinis are not in here. Those are processed or in the way back room. You know, you got to be strategic about where you're putting stuff. So that's all in here, and we can make it nice and dark. So anyway, that's the rest of like the homegrown stuff that we keep in here besides herbs. Okay, so again, go check out my Aldi stock up and my Azure standard stock up, because you're not going to see today, you're not going to see all of my dry goods that we have in storage. We have hundreds and hundreds of pounds of flour and oats and rice and stuff like that in storage, in dry goods storage, where it can't, there's no moisture, and it's weather temperature controlled. But okay, moving through the rest of this is all store-bought stuff up here and on this shelf. And things we like to keep in stock are canned tuna in water, preferably skipjack tuna if we can. Then for simplicity and easy meals, we have like canned beans, canned soups of different kinds. I love, I have a recipe on how to make homemade cream of chicken soup, but for quick meals, I like to keep the Pacific brand of cream of chicken soup and different things in the house, and I get that from Azure Standard. Go check out Azure Standard. If you have not looked into it, I have videos describing the whole process, and we have a link below that you guys can go check them out. Love supporting this company. Go check it out and go shop there. You're not gonna regret it. They have great stuff. So anyway, I love keeping that on stock. We have some tomato paste, Rotel, tomato sauce, baby potatoes, cream corn, some soups, and just, from our Aldi stock up, we have ketchup and condiments and olives and more of my dad's maple syrup. This is like liquid gold because it's so good. We love it. And so a couple store-bought jellies, lots of peanut butter, and again, that's all sealed up, so we have no issue keeping it down here. We've never had an issue with mice getting into here. Maybe because we have so many cats outside, but they do their job and keep us clear of critters down here. More onions. Do you have anything else to say on this side? Pectin?
Not really. You covered most of it.
Okay, and then down here, which is hard to see, but we have juices on the ground because those
more
are
squashes too.
Yeah, more squash, we have so much butternut squash that we had such a great year. So anyway, these are sitting up here, and yeah, we'll update you guys on how long this stuff lasts down here, and if we have any issues with rotting out or whatever. But yeah, everything cured up outside as far as like our butternut squash, potatoes, and onions cured up, dried up outside before we brought it in.
Yeah, and I know with the potatoes, I did the same method I did last year, and we had great results with last year.
We did.
Had hardly any rotting, and they lasted for like 6 months.
A very small amount. We lost a very small amount at the end of the year, and we just fed that to chickens. Yep. So it's really not that not that bad, not that big of a waste. So anyway, that is our current root cellar. It's tight on space in here, and that makes me feel good because that means we are full up of stuff, and it's just gonna keep getting fuller by the time we do lamb, which we're gonna can up lamb, and we're gonna can up a lot of beef this year because freezer space is also a hot commodity.
Any space at all is a hot commodity in our house.
At all. So anyway, I'm excited to fill up these shelves even more. I know you're gonna make more cranberry sauce because I bought you more cranberries and you're gonna get that canned up. So anyway, good, exciting things, wonderful things to have a pantry stocked full of good, nutritious food. A lot of it that we grew ourselves or harvested ourselves, which is wonderful, and then some store-bought stuff too to supplement. I would love to hear right now in the comments, tell me what you are stocking up on, what are you putting in your pantry, in your cellar, in your dry goods storage, how are you storing it? If you have a root cellar, what are you putting up right now? I wanna hear what's going on in your guys' pantries and let me know. And yeah, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We love to have you guys be a part of the Heartway Farms family, and we appreciate you. So hit that button so you don't miss any of our future content. All right, we appreciate you, and we'll talk to you soon.